Here we go. All right, I'm trying a different camera angle so that my big fan hand isn't in the way the whole time, but we'll see. I don't know if it's going to be any better. I can't seem to ever get out of the way. All right, here we go. Now we got shadows everywhere. I don't know. All right, so guys, before we start, really quick, at the top of yesterday's notes, we have to remember parallel lines. These are lines that never meet because their slopes are exactly the same. If you are parallel lines, then you have the same slope. Nope, it's still in the way. Great. Okay. All right. If you are perpendicular lines, you are lines that meet at a 90-degree angle. And the reason you meet at a 90-degree angle is because your slopes are two things, opposite in sign and reciprocal. All right, here we go. I'm not loving this. This is terrible. All right, example number 1. Write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that passes through the point -2, 3, and it's parallel to the line y equals -4x plus 1. So again, we hope for slope and we hope for y-intercept. It doesn't look like they've told us any of them flat out. That is definitely not the y-intercept because the x-coordinate is not 0. This doesn't say what my slope is, but guys, look at this line. Does anybody know what the slope of the line they have given us is? What is the slope of this line right here? I'm going to wait to see if anybody. -4. Yeah, it is. It's -4. So guys, if our line is going to be parallel to this line, does anybody know what our slope also has to be then?
-4.
It is, Jack. I thought you were going to carry everybody. So -4. So now we know what our slope is. We know a point that has to be on our line. So we do have enough information to plug in for m, x, and y and solve for b. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to solve for our y-intercept. All right, so I'm going to plug in +3 for y. I'm going to plug in -4 for m. And then I'm going to plug in -2 for x. And then plus b. And then 3 will equal -4 times -2 is 8 plus b. All I got to do is -8 to the other side. And we got ourselves -5 is b. So now we have all the information that we need. We have our y-intercept. We have our slope. Plug them in for m and b, and you got yourselves your equation. Okay? So again, the only reason they're giving you this other equation is so that you can either use his slope if our line is meant to be parallel to it, or you can use his slope as the opposite sign and the reciprocal if our line is meant to be perpendicular to it, okay? Now again, if everybody notices, the +1, that is this line's y-intercept, guys, it is useless information to us. We are never going to use the y-intercept from the given line. The only piece of information we are ever going to need from this line is its slope. So don't even worry about his y-intercept. It's literally, it doesn't mean anything to us, okay? All right, let's look at example 2. It's almost the exact same problem. All right, it says, write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that passes through the point -2, 3, right? So we got a point, and our line has to be perpendicular to the line y equals -4x plus 1. Again, the only reason they're telling you this is to give you a clue about what your slope needs to be. So we already said the slope of this line, the given line, is -4. Does anybody know what our slope would need to be if our line has to be perpendicular to this line?
1/4.
It is, right? It would be positive because this one's negative, and then the reciprocal of 4/1 is 1/4. So now we know our slope has to be positive 1/4. And we have the point -2, 3. So again, now we have enough information to plug in for m, x, and y, and we can solve for b. So let's get started. We got our formula. We're going to plug in +3 for y. We're going to plug in +1/4 for m. I'm going to plug in -2 for x, but I'm going to get myself prepared and put that over 1 so that when I go to multiply it with my slope, I have a top and a bottom, and then plus b. All right, so 3 will equal 1 times -2 on top is -2 over 4 times 1 on bottom is 4, and then plus b. Well, guys, I hope you recognize negative 2/4 is negative 1/2, so I'm going to reduce that and make this easier. All right, the only thing we got to do to get b by itself is add the 1/2 to the other side. All right, so guys, couple options. Obviously, I think everybody knows that 3 plus 1/2, it's 3.5. So the mixed number is 3 and 1/2. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I have no idea if Delta Math marks a mixed number correct or wrong. It is correct, so I'd like to think they would give it to you, but I don't know. Sometimes they're weird with their formatting and whatnot and what they expect you to write your answer as. So if you get wrong for writing 3 and 1/2 as a mixed number, then guys, you could always write 3.5 as a nice decimal. That's a nice decimal answer, 3.5. If they're not accepting decimals, then the only thing you could go with is our book always expected you to write it as the improper fraction. So does everybody remember how to write a mixed number as an improper fraction, your little multiply add loop? You do multiply and then add. So you would do 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. And then you put it back over the original denominator of 2. So 7/2 is your improper fraction. So I'm going to write my final answer with the improper fraction. I do not know, I'm sorry, honestly, which one Delta Math is looking for. I know they let you get it wrong once before they actually let you get marked wrong. So if the first one gets marked wrong as a mixed number, then try one of these. All right, so y equals 1/4 times x plus 7/2. And you're good to go, okay? All right, so guys, that's all you're expected to do today. They're going to give you a point, and they're going to give you a line that your line either has to be parallel or perpendicular to, and that's how you'll get your slope, okay? All right, the problem with Delta Math, guys, is the nice thing about these two problems is the equation they gave you was in y equals mx plus b form. So it was really easy to look at this line and know who his slope was. The problems on Delta Math, all of the lines they give you are in standard form. So you're going to have to solve them for y to put them in y equals mx plus b form to figure out who their slope is. So the Delta Math will just have one added step. All right, so I'm going to shoot over to Delta Math right now. Just pick a couple problems off there, and then you guys are going to be good to go. Okay. Oh, no. I did not mean to do that. Okay, here we go. All right, so look at Delta Math. It says, what is an equation of a line that passes through the point -5, 3 and is parallel to the line 3x minus 5y equals 30? So let me just write this down and we'll do it. So we got to go through the point -5, 3, and we have to be parallel to 3x minus 5y equals 30. Got it. Okay, here we go. All right, so first things first. First, our line has to be parallel to this line. So we have to know what this line's slope is because that's how we're going to figure out what our slope is. So we have to solve it for y because we technically don't know its slope right now. So it's minus 3x's to the other side, right? Move the x's away first. It's going to leave you with -5y's. Don't lose that sign. -5y's. I'll never be able to take 30 and minus 3x's from him, so I've been training you guys to put the x's first, -3x, and then plus 30 second. All right, and the only thing you have to do is divide everything by -5. Okay, and we're going to get y equals. A negative over a negative will reduce to a positive. 3 over 5 doesn't divide or reduce, though, so it'll still stay 3 over 5 times x. And then, guys, truthfully, to be honest, you're never going to need the y-intercept, so you don't even have to finish this. I just have major issues, and I can't leave it unfinished, but you really don't have to keep going. It is -6, but you're never going to use that piece of information. All right, so we can clearly see the slope of this line is 3/5. So if our line is meant to be parallel to it, what do we automatically know our slope has to be now? Our slope has to be, anybody know? It is, thank you. 3/5. Okay, we got m, we got an x and a y, let's plug them in. All right, so we got +3 going in for y. we got 3/5 going in for m, and we have -5 going in for x, put it over 1, and then plus b. All right, so 3 is equal to, that's going to be -15 over +5, which is actually -3. So we're going to rewrite that as 3 equals -3 plus b. All right, the only thing we got to do to get b is add it to the other side. Or I should say add 3 to the other side. And b is 6. So now we have a y-intercept, we had a slope, we plug them in, and we're done. Okay, let's see what Delta Math says about this. Y equals 3/5, right arrow x plus 6. And we're good. And I love Delta Math because, guys, it does give you a beautiful explanation as to what you should have done if you got the problem wrong. First, they tell you to solve for y. Here's the slope of the given line. Here's our slope now. Then they tell you to plug it in for m, x, and y and solve for b. So it's beautiful. All right? All right, let's do one more. Let's get a perpendicular one, and you guys are done. That's a parallel. 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 We'll get there. Come on. They do have perpendicular ones, don't worry.
It thinks you're just trying to avoid the parallel ones, I think.
I swear to God. Woo! We got it. All right, so we're writing the equation of a line that passes through the point -1, -6, and it's perpendicular to the line x plus 6y equals 6. All right, let me write it down. We're going through the point -1, -6. We got to be perpendicular to x plus 6y equals 6. Let's do it. Okay. All right, here we go. So first things first, we're going to have to figure out what our slope needs to be. So first we need to know the slope of this line. So let's get y by itself. I know I would never usually tell you to do this, but I do like to do it in these problems. I like to put the 1 in front of x. So we're going to minus 1x to the other side. That leaves us with positive 6y equals negative 1x plus 6. Divide everything by 6. And y equals, this is -1/6, does not divide or reduce, times x. And again, you could technically stop here. I can't. And then plus 1. All right, so clearly the slope of this line is -1/6. Does anybody know what the slope of our line then needs to be in order for our line to be perpendicular to this line? Our slope needs to be
6/1.
6/1. Beautiful. Our slope has to be positive, and then the reciprocal of 1/6 is 6/1, but we can just call that 6, which is nice because it's not a fraction, and I love that. All right, let's plug it in. We got an m, we got an x, and a y. Plug them in and find b. All right, we got -6 going in for y. We got +6 going in for m. We got -1 going in for x, and then plus b. Everybody okay? All right. All we have to do now to get b by itself is add 6 to the other side. And then b equals -6 plus 6 is 0. So you get a y-intercept of 0. All right, so technically when you write that in, our slope was what? 6. So y equals 6 times x plus 0. But like I warned you guys, a math book doesn't write plus 0 at the end. So we should just have to write y equals 6x, okay? And you are good to go. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions for me or Ms. Greenhouse? Are we okay with this? Everybody's good? Okay, again. All right.